Welcome to Ipswich Living. I'm your host, Amelia DeVita. Today we're going to dive into the Ipswich City Council Division 4 to get a greater understanding of the unique suburbs Dinmore, Ebbw, Bundamba, Blackstone, Silkstone and Vale. Throughout this episode, we'll learn about Division 4's growing business and development projects, the area's prominent leisure highlights, and later on in the show, we'll check out some of Ipswich's upcoming events. But first up, we're going to take a look at the region's rich heritage, Division 4.
My name is Hugh Taylor. I'm a member of the Ipswich Historical Society and also a trustee of the Willis L. Hankey Historical Foundation. The Historical Society started in 1966 and is there to collect and preserve the history of Ipswich. Part of that history is the Ipswich coal mining history, so the Hankey Foundation works fairly well in with the Historical Society in trying to preserve and promote an awareness of the history of coal mining as well in the Ipswich area.
Alan Berlin, and I worked 40 years in the mines, and I had 20 years experience with the Mines Rescue Brigade. We were called trainees from the day we started to when we were finished our service with the brigade. But to become a trainee, the manager had to put your name forward to the committee of the Vale Mines Rescue Brigade, and when you were accepted, we'd go down of an evening and train for 4 hours. And before you could work on any job that the brigade had, you had to have a month's experience wearing breathing apparatus, some knowledge of mine gases, and you had to be very familiar with the operation of your suit. We always used to have a bit of a laugh about, there was always a spare oxygen bottle, and that was in the that we carried with us. It was for the salvus, and it fitted our breathing apparatus, and we always used to joke about it. What happened when we were all just about out of oxy, you knew by your gauge, you had a gauge on your breathing apparatus, and you knew that it would fight for the remaining bottle, you know. So one Sunday afternoon, the 30th of July, I was sitting watching TV, and a neighbour, in those days you've got to remember that not everyone had telephones. I didn't have a telephone, and a neighbour come down and told me I was wanted down at the brigade. So I went down, picked up my gear, and went out to Box Flat, and the smoke was pouring out of the fan house, out the Vale, and the smoke was that thick that the fellows had got lost. Lenny Rogers, my captain, asked for volunteers to go down again. I would have followed him anywhere. And there's a chap sitting opposite me, and he said, "Don't be silly, Alan." He said, "You've been down 3 times." And he said, "Let some of the freshmen go down, you know." They felt the concrete shaking. I yelled out, "She's blowing," you know. And I still, to this day, I still don't remember how I ended up under the loader that had the shovel full of sand. We were filling sandbags. I ended up in under there. And one of the hauler drivers from the other tunnel, he tried to get under with me, and he didn't get quite under. He had his legs sticking out, and he got of course it blew the shed to pieces where we were. It blew the cabin, the deputy's cabin, and the chap that took my place on the seat in there, he had his pelvis broken in 23 places. And of course when I was lying under the loader, all I could see in the paddock was sparks. And that was the coal dust coming up out the tunnel burning. After the explosion, we had to get fellas out of the deputy's cabin. There's 2 or 3 injured in there. And there's chaps that we couldn't account for. Then we started patching people up. And in the other tunnel, in number 10 tunnel, which was the belt tunnel, there's a crew in there starting to put up a brick wall to seal that area off. There was 3 fellas blown to pieces there. And then we decided that we'd probably try and mount a rescue that night, but we had no power. The managers told us to go home and let our families know that we were okay. So the next morning we went out and got on our breathing apparatus, and they said they're going to seal them off.
Ipswich is proud of its past and to honour the servicemen and women of World War I. As a tribute to Anzac Day, we spoke to Ebbw, OAM, who has given a personal touch to the many memorials found throughout the city with his extensive research.
My name's Ebbw. I'm a retired guidance officer from the Education Department. I became interested in war memorials because I thought the RSL would have a lot of information, history of the diggers from Ipswich, but I found that there was nothing at all. So that set me on a path where I started researching all the memorials around Ipswich. Basically, I tried to put life into the names. You know, to most people, it's just a letter on, you know, some marble or sandstone. But to add life to it, I started researching, you know, their family history, where they went to school, where they lived in Ipswich, their jobs. Any information that I could find of them, I, you know, started compiling that information to a whole series of databases. The memorials at Ipswich, you know, there's quite a few around Ipswich, probably more so than any other town or city in Queensland, maybe in Australia. This is because local committees were formed, that patriotic committees that sent gifts and comforts to the soldiers overseas. And most of these committees felt they had an obligation to record the names of all these men that served, and they created these memorials, you know, in recognition of their bravery and also their service to their country. A lot of people think these memorials, that all the names on the memorial actually died in the war, but it's only roughly about 10%. Each one of those names is a story in itself. There's quite a few names. Because this memorial was established in 1919, you would have thought that the committees would have got the names correct. In a lot of instances, the names are incorrectly spelled on the memorial. This memorial here has 9 diggers that are not even acknowledged as having lost their lives in World War I. It is a memorial. At the moment, we're getting a lot of information about, you know, women in the Defence Forces. This memorial doesn't have one woman mentioned on it. In fact, for the whole of the Ipswich area, there's only one woman whose name appears on the memorial, and that is Nurse Dooner on the Western Suburbs Memorial. Ipswich is very well served with memorial services. At most of the honour stones, you will find committees have established an observance committee who celebrate the dawn service as well as the main service. But if you go around Ipswich on Anzac Day, you find large crowds at all these stone memorials.
Coming up next on the show, we take a look at the brand new City Switch Industrial Estate, check out some fun things to do around Division 4, and later on in the show, we look at some of the upcoming events in the Ipswich area. This is Ipswich Living. Welcome back to Ipswich Living. As well as a very historical background, Ipswich City's Division 4 has a booming business and project base, from the most significant industrial estate in southeast Queensland to the very first shopping complex of its kind in Ipswich's history.
Brisbane Road is a bit like I suppose you can say the Magic Mile at Maruka, or it's a little bit like Parramatta to Sydney, and Ipswich is that way in itself. But you'd have to say that Brisbane Road plays a major role for a number of businesses, and it's very mixed. There's a lot of car yards along Brisbane Road. There's also a lot of eating establishments and hotels. So there's a very mixed businesses along there. There's motorbike dealers, there's people that do cabinet making. There is that many varieties, and actually, in fact, you don't have to leave the Vale area to get medical services, or to go do your shopping, or to go out to the pub to play the pokies, or have a nice Saturday night somewhere. I mean, there's plenty of restaurants as well. The Vale Fair was first established in the late 1960s, and it was probably one of the early ones in our area, in the Ipswich region, in regard to an external shopping centre from a CBD. So it has progressed very well over the years, and it covers now a lot wider region. It's anchored by a Woolworths and a Big W and a lot of specialty stores. So it's a great centre. It's very well used and patronised, and if you go there any day of the week, you'll find it's a very busy little centre.
My name is Kelly Beaverson. I'm the marketing manager of Booval Fair Shopping Centre. Booval Fair Shopping Centre was established in 1969. It was then purchased by its current owners in 1996. In terms of development, the centre went through a refurbishment in 1996, which spent over $12 million in upgrading the Woolworths and the centre. We then had some updates to our car park in 2002 and 2005 to provide some additional undercover shaded parking. And then in December 2008, Big W did a tenancy extension and complete refurbishment of the store. When Booval Fair was established in 1969, it was really one of its kind and a first for the area. It was a really exciting time for local customers, moving away from sort of your family shops on the main roads to fully enclosed Woolworths supermarket and centre. So there was a lot of excitement in the area when it did open, and particularly landmarking for Ipswich itself to have a supermarket in the area. We have over 60 specialty stores and a convenient one level of shopping at Booval Fair, anchored by Woolworths and a Big W. We really have a mix of different specialties, including food, fashion and banking. And our retailers are definitely friendly, offer great customer service and lots of affordable options, which is important to our customers.
The City Switch Industrial Park is located at the major interchange of 4 highways. These are the Cunningham Highway leading to Boonah and Warwick, the Warrego Highway leading to Toowoomba and northern suburbs, the Ipswich Motorway leading to Brisbane, and the Logan Motorway leading to the Gold Coast and New South Wales. By having the industrial real estate park located at a major interchange between 4 highways, it provides a unique business opportunity for manufacturers and distributors.
City Switch is 330 hectares of viable industrial and residential. It's a major job generator going forward in Ipswich, and it'll generate around 10,000 jobs over the next few years. So it's already underway, and there's a number of major players already on the City Switch site. So City Switch is an ideal location in regard, as you said, to its positioning is on the Warrego Highway, and it also bisects at the Dinmore end with the Cunningham Highway. So if anyone's coming out of Brisbane or the one come into the Brisbane region, really you go through Ipswich to actually achieve that. And I'm talking about people who may want to transport from Sydney or Melbourne. So we're the gateway to the south, and we're also the gateway if you want to go out to the west from this area or this direction here. It's a great location, it works well, and it suits transport orientated businesses.
There's nothing like a Sunday drive to relax you from the hustle and bustle of your busy work week. But instead of the usual drive, why not take the family for a ride on the steam train? Queensland Pioneer Steam Railway operates heritage railway excursions through the scenic country of the Bundamba and Swanbank area.
The Queensland Pioneer Steam Railway started in 1978 by a small group of railway enthusiasts from Ipswich and Brisbane. In 1977, the group banded together and purchased a former QR PB15 class locomotive from the Vale Heritage Park at Kirriby. Built in 1908, this locomotive was the oldest steam train in Queensland when it was purchased. Relying upon the help of volunteers, the QPSR continues to offer rides to local residents and tourists, offering a unique chance to impart the experiences of another time to younger generations.
Here's an interesting fact for the area of Ebbw. Did you know that Vale train station was built to specifically access a nearby rifle range? This rifle range was created at the turn of the century and was used during both World Wars. Coming up after the break, we take a look at some of the up-and-coming events happening around Ipswich City, as well as get an insight into the Ipswich Turf Club, home to the Ipswich Cup. Here are some exciting events coming up for you to be a part of. The 2011 Melbourne International Comedy Festival Roadshow is coming to the Ipswich Civic Centre commencing May 10 from 7:30 p.m. Adult tickets are just $29.50 and concession are $27.50. You can book now for this amazing show. The Ipswich Festival is on in May, this year from the 18th to the 29th, and will feature the best performers from the region who will join with the nation's major artists in a 14-day celebration. For full details, go to ipswichfestival.com.au and make sure you're a part of this exciting time. Experience the excitement and the unique atmosphere of the Ipswich Cup. It's Ipswich's social event of the year. Racing, fashion, colour, fun, excitement. And don't forget the after races concert. Don't miss out. For more details, head to ipswichturfclub.com.au. The Ipswich Art Gallery is currently exhibiting How to Make a Monster, Art and Technology of Animatronics. Discover the skills and processes involved in bringing a creature from the written page to the silver screen in this fascinating behind-the-scenes exhibition. The exhibit is free and runs through to the 29th of May. For opening hours, go to ipswichartgallery.qld.gov.au. The annual Ipswich Heritage Fair celebrates our rich and diverse history. Held at Timothy Maloney Park on the 15th of May, this free event promises lots of heritage, fun and excitement for the whole family. For more details, go to discoveripswich.com.au. The Ipswich Turf Club is a proud and historic club, having grown from the first races held in Ipswich in 1848 to today, where it's currently one of the top thoroughbred race courses in Queensland. The Turf Club has been holding races for over 120 years.
I'm Brett Kitching. I'm the General Manager at the Ipswich Turf Club and have been here for 7 years. Racing in Ipswich commenced way back in around about 1848. There was in Ipswich, as with all colonial townships at the time, there was a pub, a church and a racecourse set up very quickly after colonialisation. So the racecourse, the first official racecourse in Ipswich, was in 1860 set up at the Grange at Raceview. In 1890 it moved to Bundamba here. There has been racing here at Bundamba for over 120 years now. The latest development that we had here, major development, was in 1985. The Eyeliner Lounge was built and named after that Philly eyeliner from the 1960s. The stables complex, the viewing terrace and the grandstand were all built at that time. The floods on January 12th came up on one day, 3:30 p.m. on January 12th. The waters peaked here at the Turf Club. We had 3/4 of the track behind me went underwater. At its deepest point, it was 1.5 metres underwater. The offices and function rooms downstairs, the lounges, they were all about 60 centimetres underwater. We were, through a mighty effort, able to race just 2 weeks after the floods occurred. Still working through that now, but we're getting close to being 100% back on track. So on race days, we race 52 times a year, 48 Fridays, 3 Saturdays and 1 public holiday Monday, Labor Day. The Ipswich Cup commenced in its current form in 1934. The Ipswich Cup itself is obviously, of course, the biggest meeting of the year for us, with 24,000 people last year.
I'm Lisa Wallace, I'm the Executive Assistant of the Ipswich Turf Club and the Event and Marketing Coordinator. My main role is Ipswich Cup, which is the biggest event on the Ipswich racing calendar. This whole precinct becomes a marquee city for the day. It's a sea of white peaks, marquees all the way down this side and all over on the infield. It's the largest attended race meeting in the whole of Queensland, and our numbers continue to grow. Last year we had 24,000 people here, and we just don't know where the numbers are going to go this year. It's a very, very popular day, and it's a very exciting day full of colour, fun, fashion, excitement and lots of socialising. We have people, not only local people, but a lot of people coming from far and wide these days to experience Ipswich Cup Day.
There is an asset plan that has been put together by Racing Queensland. Racing Queensland are at the moment awaiting approval for that asset plan from Queensland State Government. That asset plan provides for a greyhound track and a harness racing track in the middle of our galloping track. There'll also be a 500-seat conference or function centre, unlike anything that Ipswich has currently. That would be the first 500-seat centre in Ipswich, able to hold Mayor's Ball, Chamber of Commerce award nights and so forth. That would be in the middle of the greyhound track and the harness track. So we're looking forward to that plan being brought to fruition, but at the moment we're all waiting for state government approval.
Also included in the Winter Racing Carnival is our Fashion and Funk Day on the 13th of May, which will be a fantastic day in the lead up to Ipswich Cup Day. It's a day full of fashion parades, live DJs with music, pamper stations, funky photo booth, lots of things happening on that day in the lead up to Ipswich Cup Day. Then on 20th of May we have our Tradesmen's Expo Day, which is a day free for tradies. Anybody involved in that industry can come along and see trade displays, and we have live racing as well. And then the next biggest event is Ipswich Cup Day on Saturday the 18th of June.
Well, that's all we have time for tonight, unfortunately, but make sure you tune in next week for all the highlights of Division 5 as we explore all that Ipswich has to offer. I'm Amelia DeVita. Goodbye.